All right, we should be live. It has been a while since I've done this. I'm very much out of practice, but I believe what I say here is hello and welcome to the RPG Academy Podcast Twitch channel. My name is Michael, and we're here tonight for Detention Live. Joining me as always is my co-host Chris. Chris, say hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
And then joining us tonight is a special guest co-host. You have seen him here many times before, and if things work out, you'll continue to see him in the future. It's Kevin. Kevin, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Kevin. Glad to be back. I always love hanging out with Detention and hanging with you guys and talking stuff. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I absolutely am as well. This is, I've said it before, this is basically my favorite show that we do, mostly because it's the easiest one. There's absolutely zero preparation that goes into it, which is obvious to anyone that is watching, but it's also a lot of fun. So basically the way things work is the three of us are just going to talk about stuff. It's mostly related to RPGs, but not always. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun. If there is anybody who's watching, we do like an audience Q&A at the end, but if you want to chat throughout that, I just think the show works better, I think, when people are interacting with us. But we're going to start with extracurricular, and this is where we just talk about things we've been up to recently. Recently, I've been to AcadeCon, but we're going to save that for a used book. So we're going to skip over AcadeCon. But other than that, Chris, what you been up to lately, buddy?
Well, work as always, been pretty busy. Playing a lot of Diablo IV when I can.
Still? Okay, you've been on that one for a while.
Yeah.
Nice. They do seasons. So the seasons have different things, so different little stories and stuff. So it's got me in it. And I've got a few friends who are playing, so it's nice to just get on there and BS a little and go kill things. Other than that, let's see. I'm rewatching The Boys because I know that the next season's going to be next soon.
Did you watch Gen V?
Is it Gen V or Gen 5? Because people keep telling me, no, it's Gen 5. I'm like, no, it's a V.
It's Gen V for VOT.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I said.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I did. I really liked it. Jack, we're going to talk about it a little bit, AcadeCon. But I'm just rewatching it. I did enjoy Gen V. I just want to rewatch The Boys. I just enjoy it. And it's fun to rewatch it because you pick up little things you didn't catch the first time. And I really like it when shows do that. Other than that, we just watched Bodies on Netflix.
I've heard mixed on that. I like the concept, but I heard it a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, so I haven't dug into it yet.
It wasn't bad. A little slow in parts. A couple parts got a little predictable. I kind of predicted the ending. But I think part of it is as game masters, we start being able to piece together a story and they go, aha, that's where it's going to go. And this one was that way for me. Other than that, just getting ready for good old winter in Michigan. So
yeah,
do all the yard work and blow out the underground sprinkling and all the boring stuff around the house. So what have you been up to, Kevin?
Spigots and stuff, all that fun stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in Michigan too, Southeast Michigan. So I feel your pain on that. It was actually nice today though. It was like in the mid 70s, so that was beautiful. Got to go out and enjoy the sun one last time before the winter gets its claws in us. But I've been hanging out, doing lots of gaming and lots of cool fun stuff online. And really in terms of like extracurricular type of fun stuff, I rewatched Werewolf by Night about a week or so ago.
The color edition?
I was going to say, but this time I watched it in color, and I got to be honest, I thought before I watched it in color that the color wouldn't actually make that much of a difference. And really, I liked it better in black and white. It felt like it captured the spirit of like this old, old style, like Universal Monsters thing. So, I mean, it was still good, obviously, but the black and white just really made it. It was just a lot of fun watching it that way. But other than that, we're not really watching too many things, to be honest. I've started Follow the House of Usher like twice, and then my 10-year-old comes in the room. I'm like, I gotta turn this off. So
I did see that one.
Yeah,
I liked how it tied a lot of those poems and stuff together. So it was good. I liked that one. If you like that kind of spooky, creepy kind of vibe. It wasn't jump scare kind of vibe, but it was just creepy and suspenseful.
I'm a Flanagan stan, Flanistan. Pretty much everything that dude's done, I've really enjoyed. Midnight Mass is amazing. That
Oh yeah.
Stephen King adaptation he did, the one where she's tied to the bed. Oh my, Gerald's Game was like, it's like
Oh
an
yeah.
unadaptable story, and he made it amazing. So yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
Oh yeah, yeah, he does a lot of really great stuff. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, and it's a shame because yeah, like I'm the same way. I liked all of his other stuff, and I'm kind of new to it. I'm new to horror in general.
Mm.
Honestly, I was one of those really kind of sissy dudes growing up that didn't like horror, wasn't into horror, and it's only been recently that I've actually kind of just been like, you know what, let's gonna watch this stuff. And so I've been watching like all of that stuff within the last like 4 months. Been watching all of his stuff, so that's been cool. But yeah, we haven't finished it up yet, but we'll get there. But
And I think,
other than that, yeah, just kind of hanging out, you know.
yeah. And to me, there's a difference between horror and just gore.
Mhm.
Oh sure,
Like,
yeah.
to me, horror is creepy and suspenseful. I
Mhm.
don't do the gore. To me, the story's boring. You know, oh no, here comes the killer. He's chasing you. Ah,
Right.
sorry, Michael. If you trip and fall and go, oh, my ankle. Sorry, bro. Love you.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
guy with
it.
a machete behind
Yeah,
us. I'm running.
Yeah. There's an old saying: you don't have to be faster than the guy with the machete. You have to be
Yeah.
faster than your buddy.
that's
You know
right.
what I
Yep.
mean?
That's right.
So that's it.
Yeah. And if we ever go to a cabin and we find, Steve's head in the toilet, we're leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not going to go
I'm not
check the
finding.
basement.
Mm-mm.
We're not
No,
going to
I'm
go
not
check
gonna
the attic.
find the killer. Nope.
We're going to leave.
That's
Oh, the
it.
car won't start. Oh, we're walking this way.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're right out of there. I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah, I view horror movies a lot like my B action movies. Most of it's not good, but there is fun to be had with the bad ones. And then when you find
yeah.
a good one, it's like just special, It's just like that
Mhm.
diamond in the rough. It's like
Absolutely.
that was actually a good movie. These were bad movie, but they were fun bad movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I would agree with that. But and I think that maybe that's why I'm getting into it more now is because I've realized that, when I was younger, it was always just, oh, it's scary. It was a black and white thing. Oh, it's
Mhm.
scary or it's not. And now I'm starting to learn that, yeah, there's like Chris is saying, there's different levels of what's creepy, what's gory, what's scary, what's not. And it's kind of fun to push those boundaries a little bit now. So I like it. But yeah, Flanagan stuff is really cool though.
Yeah.
Really, really cool though. So I dig
Supposedly
it.
he's now working on the Dark Tower, which would
That would
be
be
incredible.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool because I know they've nothing against Idris Elba, but that didn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be really cool to have somebody who has that attention to detail and builds up a story over, like the slow burn. It would be
Mhm.
really cool to see him do that for sure.
Hmm.
I would love that.
So, Michael, what have you been up to?
Oh, just a quick shout out because we already mentioned Jack is in chat. Screwy Knave has dropped in, and then Wanderers Haven, first time they've been here. So appreciate the three of you hanging out with us. If anyone else is
Hello.
here, lurking is always fine, but we do enjoy it when people chat with us and interact. That's always appreciated. So again, we're going to talk about AcadeCon in a little bit. That takes up about 3 months of my life. And it just sort of happened that my regular job has gotten a little bit more time intensive than it had been for a while, which is exactly the wrong time for that to happen. So I went from having like 3 part-time jobs to having like 3 full-time jobs in the matter of a couple of weeks right before AcadeCon. So it was very hectic. So that's really all I've done. But a few things that I've squeezed in. I'm still doing the Smallville fan cast, Farm to Fable. I've managed to keep up with that. We are almost at the end of season 6. I recorded episode 19 last night. I'm recording episode 20 this weekend, and there's 22 episodes this season, so I should be able to keep it up pretty soon. And then a lot of TV. I loved Loki season 2. It is uneven, absolutely uneven, but the highs of that show are just astronomically high and beautiful. Absolutely. That final episode is like a tear jerking and some just beautiful imagery. It pays off that character perfectly in my mind. Absolutely. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's like the stuff that we love about Marvel, where the stuff pays off.
Yeah.
You put the time in, and then when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, nice. I'm glad I did that. So absolutely.
We got our first spam.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to get
Yay!
rid of that.
That is just a nasty thing.
I think you just click on the little sword. I don't know.
There we go.
Get out of here.
I just think we've never had that. So
No.
We've had
maybe-
a couple, but we're not big enough for people to care about. We've had a little bit every now and then. Yay!
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah. I did go see the Marvels, and yeah, I know it's doing terrible, and everyone's like, "Oh God, Marvel's dying." Whatever. No, it's not. People, I don't believe in superhero fatigue. I believe in bad movie fatigue. And if you give me 5 really good superhero movies a year, I will see all of them. If you give me 5 good superhero movies in a month, I will see all of them happily. But the problem is that the last few haven't been that great, though there are exceptions. Like Spider-Man made $1 billion, so obviously people will go out and see the ones that they enjoy. But I thought the Marvels was fun. Is it a great movie? No, it is not. But is it a fun movie? Absolutely, yes. I laughed throughout the whole thing. My kids really liked it. I would happily go see it again. I'd pay for it to see it in theaters. I will definitely watch it on Disney Plus. It'll be part of my regular Marvel routine. It's absolutely great. So hopefully, if you haven't seen it yet, if some of the negative reviews sort of kept you away, don't listen to that. It's fun. Go watch it. It's a good time. And then Invincible. I love Invincible. Oh my God, it's such a great show. Season 2 just started. I think 2 or maybe 3 episodes are out. Again, the art style is kind of, it's like it's not trying to be like big, I guess. Like it's like kind of simple, almost like an anime style where there's a lot of just like people aren't moving and just like their eyes and face move. But I don't care because the story is so good that I don't mind at all that the animation is kind of lackluster. Love the show. Love, love, love. Cannot wait to see more of it.
I haven't seen any of that yet. Is that the one that's based on the Image comic?
Yes. So it's Robert Kirkman, same guy who created The Walking Dead. I mentioned this before. When we first moved here to Kentucky, and I had my gastric bypass, and then COVID hit. So like all 3 of those things happened within like 6 months of each other. So I had a lot of time on my hands because I wasn't working at all at that time. I hadn't started my job yet. I got into Hoopla, which is a digital library service. Like if you have a library card, you can just get free stuff, including comics, digital comics. So I read the entire Invincible run in, I don't know, like a month or 2. I just kept, every time I could get new issues, I got new issues. Devoured it and loved it. It's fantastic. So much fun. And then, so this, this animated version, and even I think in some ways the animated version is actually an improvement because they've made some changes to the story. They made a few tweaks, like a second draft sort of thing that I think actually has improved it. So I'm absolutely loving it. It's so good. Can't wait for more. Nice. Trying to think if there's anything else. I watched The Killer on Netflix. I heard really good things. I did not like it. I thought it was kind of bad and boring.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. I've heard that.
So
it's the new David Fincher movie, right?
Yeah, David Fincher. It's got Magneto. What's his face?
Michael Fassbender.
That's the one. I love him as an actor. He's so good.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
This one didn't connect with me for some reason. And then I did end up buying the new Spider-Man game on PS5, knowing I would not play it until after AcadeCon. Still haven't played it, but because I do work at a school, I get next week I'm off Wednesday through Sunday, and then for Christmas we're off for like 3 weeks. I'm going to play the crap out of that game over Christmas break. That's my plan.
Nice.
And then the last thing I will say is I'm actually about to start a new game for my family. So John and Jacob, they came to AcadeCon, which about it too, but John and Jacob both came. They ran games. We've been playing stuff together, but I haven't been really running anything for them. John is now running his own game for some of his friends. And I got the new Phandelver and Below from WOTC. It's the sort of the updated version of the Phandelver adventure with like a back half that involves some stuff that we're going to do a review on soon. And I'm going to run that for my boys, and each of them has a friend from school. So we're going to be playing this pretty regularly. I don't run a lot of modules, but I'm pretty excited about trying to stick with this one and actually running it throughout and actually getting all the way up to 12th level. So they're excited about what characters they want to play. I'm excited about the opportunity to run for them. So that's probably my biggest gaming news is we're supposed to play the first session during the Christmas break and then probably play it monthly is kind of the plan. So that was more than I thought I was going to cover in extracurricular. So we're going to jump into our first improv game. And that, of course, is 10 things. The idea here is we're going to take turns prompting one another to create a list that matches the prompt. Immediacy is more important than accuracy. So coming up with a list quickly is better in terms of the game than a list that takes a long time but actually makes a lot of sense. Kevin, you are the guest tonight, so you get to choose. Do you want to go first in terms of prompting someone or go first in terms of being prompted?
You know what? I'll live dangerously. I'll be prompted first. Let's do it.
All right. So you've been watching horror movies. So give me
Here we go.
top 10 kills from horror movies, or make up your
Top
own.
10 kills. top 10 kills from horror movies. Do I have to do them in order of how amazing they are? Because that would be even trickier, but we could do it. But no,
Yeah.
top 10 kills in movies. Half of the list is going to be on The Shining, right? I mean, Dick Halloran getting killed with an axe in The Shining is absolutely amazing. Is my favorite. I'll also preface that. But the rest of them are going to be, let's see. There isn't an Omen that this guy gets his head cut off with a pane of glass, I think.
2.
There's going to be, is it also the Omen where the person jumps off the balcony under the thing? No, what's that movie? It's Kenneth Branagh's in it. And the people, I don't know.
You don't have to be specific. You can just like, head decapitated.
Oh, okay. They get killed on a scissors statue.
3.
There's somebody who gets melted in a bathtub.
4.
There's somebody who gets ground up in a meat grinder.
5.
There's somebody who is going to have what happens in Saw. They get pulled apart. They get dismembered with some sort of weird creepy machine.
6.
There's going to be somebody who gets their head blown off with a rocket.
7.
There's going to be somebody who gets eaten by a dog.
8.
There's somebody who gets run over by a car.
9.
And somebody who gets their nose cut off and it can't smell that there's gasoline and get blown up.
10.
I made that one up.
That was in fact a list of 10 things. All right.
Probably in a movie.
Probably somewhere. Yes. So that means you will then prompt Chris.
Oh, prompting Chris. Okay. Let's get juicy here. So Chris,
Mhm.
I'm gonna a topic near and dear to your heart. Your 10 favorite Star Wars characters that are not Jedis.
Oh, wow. Okay. You gotta go R2D2.
1.
Chewbacca.
2.
Han Solo.
3.
Gosh, that are not Jedi. Whew. Oh God, what's his name? 1D4.
4. D4.
Yeah, D4. Well, you've got Mando.
5.
You've got to have. Boy, that aren't Jedi. That's a tough one. That's tough. Lando.
6.
Princess Leia.
7.
Gotta have her.
Mhm.
Padme.
8.
Can't forget her. Padme's handmaiden,
9.
There you go.
who took the shot.
Keira Knightley.
And yeah. And we'll go with Boba Fett.
10.
Nice.
That was in fact a list of 10 things. Jag mentioned in chat that Phandelver and Below will take quite a while to run through. I know that. I don't know how long. It's supposed to go to level 12, which I've never ran D&D to that level. So I'm excited about that, but I do know that it's going to take a little while. And in my history, it'll probably fall apart before we get there anyways. Okay.
Right.
All right. So Chris, you get to prompt me.
All right. Let's go with one that I've been thinking about. Name 10 foods or snacks you want to have at a game night.
Okay. Cheetos.
1.
Pizza rolls.
2.
Cheese and crackers.
3.
Peanut butter crackers.
4.
Cupcakes.
5.
Peanut butter fudge.
6.
Laffy Taffies.
7.
Pie.
8.
Pizza.
9.
Chili.
10.
Yay!
Nice.
That was more food than snacks, but again,
I'm coming to game at your house, Michael. That's amazing. What a spread.
What
You don't
a
like peanut butter,
spread.
I take it, Chris?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I work at a school, so we're not allowed to have peanut butter at all. But basically, since my surgery, peanut butter crackers is like 90% of my daily intake. Like almost every day, I eat like 2 6-packs. Like it's my lunch and it's a snack, but I can't have those at the school, so it's difficult. So I do crave now peanut butter, and I've always liked peanut butter. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, now we're going to move into used books. So normally in the show, if you're new here, we would ask our guest to talk about a campaign that person has ran or played in, and we would kind of mine it for lessons learned, maybe things that went really well that they've learned from and they do now, or maybe they tried something and it just fell apart and either they don't do that again, or if they did it again, they would change some things. Tonight, we're going to do this a little bit differently because Kevin didn't know he was going to be here until like 37 minutes ago. And we just got back from AcadeCon. It's on top of mind. So we're going to make this sort of a general convention talk. Obviously, Chris and I are going to talk a little bit about AcadeCon, but Kevin absolutely feel free to jump in with any of your convention experiences, positive or negative, that you want to talk about. But I'll start with you, Chris. So we literally just got back from AcadeCon. We're still recovering highlights, Low lights, just what's the first thing that comes to your mind that you'd like to talk about tonight for AcadeCon?
Well, every year, one of my favorite parts is just how the group of us just come together and make things happen. Like it just works. What kind of a low light with the highlight was we got that new room. It's huge. You give me the layout. We start measuring the room. And then all of a sudden I run into a literal wall that they just added in earlier in the week.
Yeah, not exaggerating. There was a wall there that was not on our schematics.
That we lost
Amazing.
16 feet on one wall. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just shift it over this way. Then realize they put a wall in the other corner too.
Yep.
So now we've lost space. And I'm like, all right,
Wow.
Michael, I got to rearrange stuff. Who paid for corners? Who paid like, I don't want the vendors to feel like, they got messed up if we shift things around. So quickly we figured out how to shift it around. Then they walk over and they put two big X's across two of the bathrooms. I'm like, are those bathrooms going to be closed? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, one vendor specifically requested to be near a bathroom.
Yep.
So now I have to look at the map and go, okay, let's redo this again and reshift some people around. And everybody came together to help me move tables real quick. And keep in mind, most of this was, moving tables around was 10 minutes before the doors opened that, on Friday. So to me, it's always neat how stuff doesn't go right and our group just somehow figures a way to make it work. And we just come together. Then Friday, we open up registration, and I don't think I've ever seen it that busy on opening.
I would agree. That, again, maybe my memory's faulty. I'm an old man, but that felt like more on Friday than we've ever had.
Well, because my original plan was, okay, about 8:30, I'll wander out and see what GMs might need players, and I'll kind of help direct some people, and maybe I'll join in a game. It was 10:30 before we had cleared out the crowd, and I was like, well, most of the games have started, so let's play a game here. But then the next wave came in, and I was like, this is crazy. We had Brad and I sat down and figured out we had over half of the people that had pre-registered got their badges in the first 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And I don't think we've ever had it that fast, which was nice because then kind of the rest of the day was us just sitting around playing games and just helping chat with people and talking with vendors, helping them get set up. Jack, you're correct. I'm getting there. So part of Friday too, this would be my big low point. People start sitting down and all you hear behind this wall is construction. And I mean like jackhammer level sound. And I mean, I've got tables that can't even hear themselves. So I just walk out, I'm like, find another table.
Yep.
And they're like, well, what if other people have that table later? I go, tell them to come find me. I'll find them another table. And secret, I was just going to say, find another table. There's 25 more tables than we've ever had. So you'll have more. So then me being my personality said, all right, good cop, bad cop time. I see somebody from the DCC. I'm like, hey, that construction, how long is it going to be? I need to know how much of a refund I'm about to get. His eyes got big. 10 minutes later, I don't even think 10 minutes later, the head of it came over and goes, we're sorry, that'll be done in 5 minutes. Talking to Michael, who's now good cop.
Yep. I get to be the good guy.
He gets to be good. I had, he deals with it more than I do. And I don't know if me saying refund what sparked it or they just went, oh crap, we made a mistake and they changed it. I don't really care. It got taken care of.
And that is all that matters. But it was a mistake. The construction people were not supposed to be there on Friday. They had misinterpreted our vendor hour because we had basically from X to Y specifically security on site that could watch the roll-up doors to let our vendors come in. So they thought that meant that's all was happening was vendors set up. They didn't think there'd be people there on site doing things. So they thought they could basically sneak in and get like 4 or 5 hours of work done on that day. And then they were going to leave when the vendor hours were over. But we started playing games at 9 and vendor hours ran till 1. So once we told them that, they were like, okay. And then they left. So it was a miscommunication between the construction crew and the DCC staff about what that meant on our list of stuff we were doing that day.
Yeah. So you know, after that, everything went smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Friday, Saturday went smooth. I mean, the raffles were smooth. The play to win, everybody really liked that. Um, I did enjoy. Caleb and I played a little game in the raffle. We saw which were the popular prizes in each raffle, and we put them in the middle of the table. So that when I would draw numbers, I would reach for it when I got to that middle table, and then go, "Oh wait, hold on," and can go around it. And that was always the last thing. And there was always the running joke of, all right, all right, there's one prize on the table. All right, hey, thanks everybody for coming out. Nobody
Right.
wanted this one, so we're just going to put it back. And people are like, wait, what? I'm like, fine. We'll see if there's tickets in there. And of course, I mean, the box was full. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
we had fun with that. Otherwise, I enjoyed sitting back, playing games. I taught Thunder Road 6-7 times. To the point where I was like, okay, enough of you know how to play this game. I like it, but I'm done for a little bit.
Right, yeah.
I don't need to play it 6 times in a row. Especially since I started figuring out the strategy, and then all of a sudden as a new player, I'm like, hey, please don't do that. They're like, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to die. And they were like, no, I'm not. I'm like, trust me, this is going to happen. And then they get knocked off and they're like, oh, I told you.
I tried to help you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jag mentioned thank you to the donors. Absolutely. That we had so many prizes this year that it was our biggest year ever in terms of attendance, in terms of number of prizes and number of play to win. And that is absolutely directly responsible to our donors. And a lot of those really big prizes, and again, this is not, anything negative on any donors, but Bookery and Free League, they like threw down the gauntlet for like how much cool stuff they could give us. It was impressive and kind of ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah, that giant dragon they gave out was probably the most popular thing.
The retail and that's like $270 because I went and looked it up immediately. I was like, what are they giving us? Yeah, if you buy it off Amazon or wherever, it's like $270 retail for that thing.
Yeah.
Is it like a mini or like a?
Well,
figure
it's a mini, but it's about 3 feet tall.
Oh,
It's a maxi.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a big giant dragon.
Rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very
that was
cool.
nice. I also, a big high point for me is always after we're done, we went back to the hotel, and I think it was Saturday night. We just happened to say to the person working the front desk, hey, I see that meeting room's empty. And the guy's like, yeah, the door's unlocked. Help yourself.
Oh,
So I think we had 15 or 20 of us that were in there until 1 or 2 in the morning, just
nice.
hanging out. That's nice because for us, it gives us a chance from going away from being, hi, sir, how can I help you, to, all right, Kevin, what's up? Like, how's
Yeah, right,
life?
yeah.
Like, we can kind of just relax and, chit chat and have an adult beverage or
Mhm.
two, and have a little bit more, just, I guess, adult language too, because you kind of vent a little bit about some things, but it was a lot of fun. I think the really true high point for me was seeing, Jared bring his son, so you bring your kids. Quentin, my son is almost 20. He's been to AcadeCon, but for me to now see other people bringing their kids and watching them get to have that same experiences that I had with my son and some of the same arguments, was fun. Jared, talking to me about how thankful he was that everybody, hey, come on in, Joe, have a seat, let's play games, and just kind of welcomed him in. And Jared was really touched by that. And I was like, hey man, you're part of the group.
Yep.
Part of the family, so to speak. And he was really touched. And if you don't know Jared, he's very talkative, very outgoing. He doesn't get quiet and like just sit there and be like, thank you, have that kind of just moment. And it was just nice to see that. And I had fun, meeting your wife and kids. Now that we've met, I've told her she's got to come to the faculty retreats, leave the kids at home.
Yeah.
There you go.
I told her that you can make an automatic feeder for them. They can just push a button and some pizza rolls fall out.
Well, that's the reason we moved to Kentucky, was to be closer to our families. Cause we didn't have that for like the first 8 or 9 years of our life. We had no family and not that many friends. So we didn't have the ability like, hey, can you watch our kids for a night? Now we live next to the in-laws and the sister-in-law, you know, her sister. So we can like drop our kids off and go, you take care of them for the weekend. Like that's part of the deal now.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
bring her to the faculty retreat. She was a lot of fun.
We're talking about it. So my wife is not really into gaming anywhere near the level that I am. She does like some board games, and the ones that she likes, she really likes, but she's not very ambitious or adventurous when it comes to those. She doesn't like, she used to like play D&D when we were in college dating just to like hang out with me, but she's never really enjoyed that. But she's a very analytical person. And this was her first time coming to AcadeCon, and she really kind of got into like the nitty gritty of running a convention. Like, and you know, humility aside, she finally got to see me in a capacity she's never seen before. Like even when I worked my jobs, like she was never there, but she got to see how it works and what part I play and all the different things. And, you know, I think she was somewhat impressed. But she's also like, this can be so much better. So now her analytical mind is like trying to figure out ways that we can improve. And her current plan is for Origins. She was doing, and again, this was all her. She went and did some research on how you can get a free badge to Origins and a guest badge if you volunteer. I think it's like 32 hours. You get a badge and a free badge. So she wants to volunteer at Origins and like just learn, like just whatever they assign her to do, and then learn from that and come back and like, okay, this is what I learned from Origins, dummy. Here's how you do it better. So she's like all in, like trying to like improve things, which is great. Also annoying, but I love her. But we're working through that right now. But it was very special for me again to see my boys not only come there, but participate, playing games, run games.
I was going to ask if they got a chance to run stuff.
Yeah, so John ran a D&D session and Jacob ran some Werewolf, and they both had a really good time. They got to play in some really cool games. So it was very special for me as a father and as a gamer to share that with them. The thing about AcadeCon is, again, it is so much work that it is not worth the work if we're trying to like measure like income expenditures. Like we did make a little bit of money this year. I'm very happy to report we did a little better than break even, but we didn't make anywhere near enough money to pay anyone, including myself, for the time we put into it. But part of it is that every year we try to improve a little bit. And it seems like every year there's some big change that kind of keeps us from just easily applying lessons to the next year. So like this year, because the room that we normally use was under construction, we got a much bigger room, way, way bigger, which was super cool. But that meant I had to redesign the entire layout. I had to redesign the vendor layout. And then to Chris's point, when we were trying to put people in places, it still didn't work out because there was things there. So then we had a brand new,
that in real time.
In real time.
Yeah.
We had to set up registration completely different, which I think was better, but it still was different. We definitely learned some lessons for next year, but next year we're going to be in a completely different room again because I've been talking to the DCC. The construction is like a rolling remodel. So the room we were in this year, we won't have next year. So we're going to have a different room. We're going to have a different setup. So every time it's like, oh, I can just, copy, print, paste that, or, copy, paste, whatever. I can't. Every year it's like I have to rebuild from scratch all these things, which is, it's just frustrating, but it's not terrible. It's just a lot of busy work. It's just a lot of repetitive work. And also I have anxiety issues. So I try to be like overdo things, which causes some problems. I try to get ahead, and then I end up doing things that I then have to redo. If I had just waited and gotten all the information, then I could have just done it once, but instead I do it 3 times. Totally my fault, but that's just also who I am. That's not going to change. So there's all these little things that I do that makes things harder for me and for everyone around me, but I don't know how to fix it other than like, taking my brain out and washing it and putting it back. And unfortunately it's impossible.
When you figure that out, let me know, because I have a similar issue.
Yeah.
I have, my wife jokes that I have OCD, but I really don't. But like I'm like that. I'll do things multiple times, or I'll have to redo them because I'm like, oh no, it's gotta be done right now. But
yeah. Well, for example, one of the things I did is I took a tape measure on Saturday, and I went out and I like measured the area in front of our registration area, because I had thought that we would be using, like I thought I knew the room we would be using the next year. So I like basically drew a schematic. I got on my Excel spreadsheet and I made like a square per foot. So I basically had a 1-to-1 ratio of the outline of the registration area so that we could play with how we would set up registration next year. And guess what? That's not the room we're using. So all of that completely wasted.
Oh.
And then the place that we use this year, we're going to be adjacent. So we're going to kind of be in the same place, but not exactly. So again, I can't just go, oh, do this and then change it. We're still going to have to rebuild everything. But enough of the negative. It was great. Like to Chris's point, we had more people than ever. Things went very, very smoothly after that initial vendor and then the construction. There were issues because it was still dusty and dirty. But again, there's nothing really could really do about that. But from what we could control, thrilled, absolutely thrilled by it. And I say it every chance I get. I will continue to say it forever. AcadeCon does not exist without Chris and Kaylee and Caleb and Michael and John and Jared and Brad and Michael. And there's like 3 Michaels now. Literally could not do it without them. It's like magic. It's like a wizard thing. Like there's verbal and somatic components, which are those people, and then me asking for help, and then magic happens, and then AcadeCon's like a spell that just sort of drops down as a thing. And I'm so grateful. I mean, just cannot express how grateful I am to those people because I say this, I literally don't understand why they help me. Like I don't know why they do it, but they do. And if one day they're going to be like, no, we're done, and I'm going to be in trouble. But until then, AcadeCon only exists because of them. And I am so grateful because I love AcadeCon and I love these people. I love Chris as a friend. I love Michael. I love Caleb, I love Brad, everybody. And it's like, it is balm for my soul to get to spend a weekend with these people every year. And that's why we do it now 3 times a year. AcadeCon's once, but we have 2 faculty retreats. We'll probably end up doing 4 of those. Like by the time we're all old and retired, we'll just like get in a retirement community together because it is so special to me. Again, I could talk about AcadeCon for 9 hours. I don't want to do that. I want to give Kevin a chance here because you've been to some conventions, not AcadeCon, but you've been to some others. So
I went to AcadeCon last year.
that's right. You did go last year. That's right.
Yeah,
my
I went
apologies.
last year. No problem. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I wish I had been able to go this year, but it just wasn't in the cards for my schedule. Real quick before I get into what, did you get a chance to run any Action 12 cinema at the AcadeCon?
I didn't. I ran my murder mystery game that I run every year. And then this year, Chris and I actually developed a new Star Wars Dread game. So I retired Scooby-Doo, and now we're doing a Star Wars Dread game. We got a chance to test it at the most recent faculty retreat, made some very good adjustments. And I think the session that we ran this year was probably a B+, A-.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It was great. Could be a little bit better. And I think some of the rules we came up with were very cool and interesting. It's Dread, but there's a couple twists to it. So those are the 2 that I ran. So I've mentioned this before. I love, obviously, Action 12 Cinema. Like it's the game I wrote. I love it. I do not actually enjoy running it for people or facilitating it because of the anxiety that I have. Like if you wanted to run it and tell me all about it, I'll sit down and talk to you all day. But the entire time that I'm ever facilitating that game, I am emotionally a wreck on the inside.
Oh, wow.
So I don't really do it now that the play tests are over. I want other people to play it and tell me, but I don't actually want to be involved.
Okay. Well, you know what? That makes sense. I could see that. That would be kind of a nerve-wracking thing because you're worried about it's a different approach. You're so entrenched in the creation of it. I could see why that'd be different.
I feel like people are not having fun and they're constantly lying to me and saying they are because they feel sorry. Like I'm not in my head. That's what's happening is everyone's miserable and no one will tell me. So they're all pretending to have fun. That's what my brain does when I play my own game. So I know.
Well, I can say not to kiss any butts or anything, but I have played Action 12 Cinema 3 times now, and I have loved it all 3 times. And the folks that I've either played or run for have all loved it and thought it was a really fun game.
And I love hearing that. And I believe you, unless I'm there with you, and then you're a liar.
No, it's not. No, it's a fun game. It's a blast. We had a really fun time. We did one where it was, I don't know, we were fighting zombies in a Mortal Kombat kind of tournament. That was just all kinds of wild stuff. It's a wild game, but no, cons though. I went to the first con I went to was actually Gen Con I went to in 2021. I was supposed to go in 2020, but
things happen.
We all know how that went. And so I ended up going to 2021. And it was interesting because what I kept hearing when I was there was everybody who were regulars there being like, oh, it's so small this year. There's nobody here. Paizo didn't even come. This stinks, blah, 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 blah. And I thought it was awesome. And then I see pictures like from this year where it's like 80,000 people. And I'm like, I would have an anxiety attack if there were that many people around me at one time. So I'm kind of glad that I went, that it was like 32,000 people or something
Yeah.
like that, and there was room to breathe. Um, but I've done a couple other ones that I've gone to, participated in. Like I said, AcadeCon was a blast. A little bit more my speed, with something a little bit less, 32,000 people.
Yeah. Like 500 maybe on a good day. Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
different.
but yeah, it's a different vibe. And it's good though, because you can have that, like you guys were talking about. You can have that one-on-one with people. You can have that that connection with people. Whereas, nothing against Gen Con. I mean, it's what it is. It's the big thing for a reason. But you go to something like Gen Con, and it's like there's so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of intimidating. But yeah, but I'm going to UConn this weekend. Actually, that's in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm going out there on Saturday. My one buddy is running some Walking Dead games. I'm going to play in one of those, and I'm playing in a just regular D&D type thing.
Is that the
And
new actual Free League Walking Dead?
yeah,
Okay.
the new
Yeah,
system.
we just got that for a review. I think Caleb's going to be working on that for us.
Oh, cool. I'll have to let you know how it goes when I
Yeah.
play it then, because I haven't played it before. He's run it just like at home and stuff, but he hasn't run it like in a con type setting, so that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, cons are cool because they give you a chance to, especially nowadays where we're all dealing with like Zoom meetings and the post-COVID world.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a chance to get active, gives you a chance to get around a table with people
Yeah.
again, and get what I like to do RPGs for, besides telling the story, of course, is to actually interact with people and make those connections with people and have an experience with people. It's just so different.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys both know, and I'm sure most people watching would know too. It's like when you're sitting around a table with each other and you have those vibes feeding off of each other, it's just so different than over a
Yeah.
screen or over a play-by-post or something.
Playing on Zoom is so much better than I thought it would be,
Well, sure, yeah.
but it is still not playing at a table. There's something about that is still special to me. Again, maybe it could be my age or my experience, but 100% I agree. Like, I do love playing over Zoom, but 1-to-1, I'll take an in-person game every time over Zoom.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
for sure. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And I know next year I'm doing a bunch of different cons and stuff. We're getting those all set up because of the one channel that I'm on, Out of Turna. We have a whole bunch. The books are actually coming out, and so we're going to be going around, have me run some stuff for that. So that's going to be a real blast.
Nice.
That'll be a different experience, like running stuff at a con. When I went to AcadeCon, I ran a few things, but this will be like running the whole time. Like I'm there to be a GM. So I think it'll be a much different experience than, you're there to enjoy it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be just as fun. But I hope so.
Well,
That'll all be
usually
next year.
when we do our Gen Con recaps, almost every time, in fact, I think every time when I come to like what was my favorite thing I did at Gen Con, it's pretty much always something I ran. I absolutely love running events at Gen Con. I usually do a panel there, and I usually run a Scooby-Doo Dread. Like, those are the two things that I normally run. It'll be Star Wars Dread going forward. I absolutely love running at conventions. My thing, and this is for everyone, write a really good description of what you're offering so that people know what they're signing up for. I don't want anyone to come to my table and think they're going to be playing like a tactical game with like minis, right? Because they're just not the right person for the type of game I run. So I think I write pretty good descriptions. I try very hard to do that. So I almost pretty much have always gotten someone who knows what they're in for, and they're the right people for that game. So it's just, it works out very, very well. Plus, Dread is it's an easy game to run at a convention. It does all the hard lifting, and people love Scooby-Doo. So I've ran a few 5e games. Like, I've run several, like how to learn how to play 5e. And those have gone very well. So I think you'll have a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure I will. But yeah, so it's gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing people again, and doing that approach. So it'll be good.
Cool. Well, again, thank you for sharing, and hopefully we'll get you back to AcadeCon next year. If you do go to Gen Con, because I go to Gen Con every year, like there has to be something has to have gone wrong for me not to go. Knock on wood, I'll be there. But maybe we can meet up for. I don't drink, but if you do, I'll hang out. We'll have lunch together or something. Maybe we'll get Chris back there this year.
So there we go. We're a good company.
That's right. Teetotaler. But we've got more to say about AcadeCon. There is a chance we may even have some announcements about next year by the time we record that one. So look for that in the future. But we will move on because people who don't care are really bored. So we're going to do our next improv game, which is called Where Have My Fingers Been? This is an improv game where we will take turns again, prompting one another, this time to create a short scene that involves 2 finger puppet people, or 3 if you want to be froggy, and basically just like a short interaction. It helps if they have a beginning, middle, and end to your story. I usually leave at least one of those out because I think it's funny. Kevin, again, you are the guest tonight, so you get to choose. Do you want to go first in terms of prompting Chris or I, or going first in terms of being prompted from Chris or I?
Ooh, I will. I'll prompt one of you guys
All
first.
right, you can choose either one you want, but we have to sing the song. It's required. New York
yes.
Tater has decreed by law that we must sing the song every time, even though he's not here, unless he is and he's watching from the wings to see if he needs to flip a table. So I guess, who are you prompting? Because whoever you prompt has to sing the song.
You know what? I interacted with Chris before. I will prompt you then.
All right, here we
go.
Me. Where have my fingers been? I said, where have my fingers been?
Love it. Okay. Your scene is you are a dungeon master and a player playing a game, and there's no light in the room at all.
So you have come to the end of your road. 7 years of real life and only 6 weeks of game times. Don't think about it. You are now here facing the Lich, and they cast a spell. Darkness. So to simulate this, I'm going to turn the lights out. Click. Ah! What's going on? Is this still part of the game? I can't breathe. Should I call 911? I don't know what's going on. Roll perception. I love this game. Me too. That's where my fingers have been.
Yay.
I'm glad it turned back at the end there. I was
Exactly. I wanted to go on a roller coaster. There's a lot of
Yes.
emotion in that. All right. So since you prompted me to keep the chain rolling, I will prompt Chris. Chris, please sing the song.
Where have my fingers been? I said, where have my fingers been?
Your fingers are EMTs that are responding to a tragic accident at a gaming convention.
Nice.
Wait. Which room are we supposed to be in? 2B, table
Or not
6.
2B.
I don't know. All right. We should try to figure this out. All right. Let's try this room. Nope. This says 1B. All right. So 2B should be next to it, right? Nope. This says 1C. So it should be the other way. Nope. That says 1Z. Maybe it's on the second floor. There is no second floor. I see nachos. And that's where my fingers have been.
Nice.
Excellent.
That went on a roller coaster too. That was amazing.
So Chris will prompt Kevin. Kevin, you must sing the song, please.
Where have my fingers been? I said, where have my fingers been?
All right. We'll keep the kind of convention theme going. You're a GM and your first player has walked up to the table.
Hi. I've never run a game at a convention before. Oh, it's cool. I go to all the conventions. I can tell you how to run a game, but I won't because I'm a player. Great. Okay. So I'm so new. Which one of these things do I roll? Really? Oh boy. All right, scoot over. Other people are coming. Okay. Hi, welcome to the game. I'm your dungeon master. And that's where my fingers have been.
Hey, I've been at that table.
Oh no.
I've been at that table where I should have done that and didn't and regretted it later.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to move into
I've been at that table, too.
cryptozoology. This is the section of the show where we take a look at a monster, usually D&D, but not always, and talk about ways that maybe we have used this monster in the past if we have, and then come up with some interesting ways that we could use this monster in the future. Kevin, you are the guest tonight. What monster did you bring for us to discuss?
I decided to go with an oldie but a goodie. I decided to talk about gelatinous cubes. You know?
Bam! Got an image up and everything. That's the only thing I prepared for tonight. All right.
Nice.
So gelatinous cubes. So give us the highlights here, Kev. What are we looking at here? 5th edition, 1st edition, whatever you want to share. Tell us a little bit about it.
So gelatinous cubes, kind of in all the editions, are basically giant for lack of a better description, based on their name, giant cubes that are made out of like a Jello kind of stuff. And if you get it within
Jell-O.
it, oh yeah, tell me about it. If you get within the gelatinous cube, it dissolves you basically in a number of rounds, and that's been different through the different editions and everything. What makes them really tricky is in the newest edition, 5th edition, they're extremely hard to see. Like you have to, because they're like semi-clear, so you have to roll a really high perception roll to notice them, which is kind of how I have two stories. One is how I interacted with one, and one is how I used one. So I'll start with how I interacted with one. I was playing in a game run by my good buddy, and it was on Roll20, and we were going down the dungeon, and we decided because I had the highest perception, I'm going to go in the front, and I go down the hall and turn a corner and
Bloop.
walked right into one. No, there was no check, there was nothing. I was just in a gelatinous cube. Made for a great cliffhanger, but we got my guy out of there, and he didn't get perished. But yeah, they've been around for a long time. I mean, even to the point where they've been parodied or spoofed or whatever you want to call it in movies like Onward or what's the other movie? I don't. There's all kinds of movies, but they've been in the Dungeons and Dragons film, the
Yep.
one with Chris Pine. They were in there. That's the one that they, for those of you who watched it, they snuck down below with their fingers sticking out. That's pretty cool stuff.
Which again, it's using a gelatinous cube as like a trap or a skill challenge, not a combat, which I'm a fan of doing things like that. So I did really appreciate that moment.
Yeah, because that's actually I've only interacted with them, Giant Cubes, like 3 times in all the years I've been playing, and all 3 times they were done in like it's a trap or it's something that's moving down the hall that you don't notice, and because the combat with them, and this is going to be spoilers, I'm going to ruin it for all you DMs out there. As you like slice them up, they start moving around and spreading, and it gets really bad for your players. So players, don't slice them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I've always seen them. Yeah, they're in a portal or a doorway, and you can't see them, and you end up inside of them, or you're oh, it looks like this is water. We got to swim down below. No, it's a gelatinous cube.
Yeah.
Stuff like that I've
Yeah.
seen.
So here's a real spoiler for the players. You'll really mess with your DM's plan. The thing about gelatinous cubes is it's like one of those counterintuitive things. They're actually easier to destroy from the inside. So if you fight one, jump straight in and then ask to roll initiative. Guaranteed success.
Yeah. Blow it up.
Yeah.
I feel like we've read the wrong description.
Yeah, probably.
Or different descriptions.
So I did put in chat favorite Jello flavor if either of you want to share. I am a fan of orange. Jack thinks that's an abomination, but orange is definitely the best.
Lime Jello, buddy.
So I have not used a lot of. I have used slimes, and I think like black puddings are the two that I've used because again I like how they divide when you hit them, especially if you're newer players. Again, the first thing you do is swing a sword, and now you got two. But a couple of times I have used gelatinous cubes. One was in a 10-foot pit in a dungeon. It was inside the pit. And again, you can see from my artwork that certain things dissolve at different rates. Flesh dissolves much faster than metal. And I think even some things don't dissolve at all. I don't remember the specifics. So it looked like there was some treasure at the bottom of this pit. So once they had discovered the pit and they'd opened it and they disarmed the trap, they're like, okay, well, I'll climb down and get the treasure that's down there. And then, of course, they get into the pit, which is the gelatinous cube, which is then very difficult to get out of because not only are you inside of it, but now you have to go up, which is harder because of gravity. And then the other time I did exactly the same thing, except I put the gelatinous cube on the ceiling, waited till they got into the pit, and then it dropped on them. So they were basically squished, crushed, and engulfed, and started to burn by acid. That's like the most creative that I've ever used them. Chris, have you ever played with or against? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
Oh, I was just saying that's like Gygax level.
Yeah, that's
insidiousness right there.
Yeah, it was a much younger Michael that did that. But Chris, any interactions with a gelatinous cube?
I think the most memorable, I put him in the entrance to a little dungeon. So you had to either fight your way through it or crawl your way through it. And one of the players went, I have a better idea, and ran back to town and grabbed bags of salt and just started pouring it on there. And I'm like, I have no idea what would salt do? It's like, well, it's just a giant cube. Wouldn't that just suck all the moisture out? I'm like, roll a die. And he rolled a D20 and rolled a 20. I'm like, you watch it slowly get sucked apart by this salt. I'm like, I really didn't know a good ruling, so I just did my usual roll a d20 and we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
And after that, I really didn't use them much, just because I was like, well, my plan was for you to have to kind of climb your way through it and whittle your resources down a little bit, but you outsmarted me. So now I have to outsmart you.
That's
Your
it.
character's dead. Why? Because I said so.
Well, I shouldn't say outsmart you. I have to plan the story to be a little more twisting and think a little outside the box. That taught me to kind of roll with the punches a little easier too. Other than that, I really haven't used them much. It's one of those things that, like in your case, if you had dropped him down on me as a player and my character had died, I would have been upset because I'm like, I had no way of avoiding that. Like, there needs to be something I could, make a check or roll a saving throw or something to get clear of it.
Yeah.
I've played in a game where the GM's like, you walk in a room, roll a deck save. Okay, the ceiling collapses on you. Roll a new character.
Oh wow.
And I'm just like, that sucked.
Yeah, that's not
It's like,
fun.
hey, you fell into the trap. I'm like, that's just not fun. Like, I get that you made me roll a saving throw, but it should have just been, okay, the ceiling collapses and you're trapped. Now what are you going to
Yeah,
do?
right. Yeah, not just straight die.
Yeah.
Jack mentioned in chat that he's playing a game where the hallway is surprisingly clean is sort of the indication that there might be a gelatinous cube. I've seen that used before as like if the players understand what that might mean, they might be on the lookout for it. So there's a chance they won't just turn the corner and run into it. So now the fun part of this conversation, for me at least, is how could we use it in an interesting way that isn't a suck or die situation? So, Kevin, any thoughts on if you were going to put a gelatinous cube in a game you're running coming up, what might you do interestingly with it?
Well, something that I did do in a game, is I was running Titan's Grave. If it's a fantasy age setting, basically, it's kind of like pseudo sci-fi. It's like sci-fi meets fantasy, and there was a part where the heroes had to be in like an arena battle, and so I actually had columns that like parts of the columns were gelatinous cube like material, and they were, because it's sci-fi, they were like moving. So they had to fight stuff while there was like gelatinous cube beams, kind of like laser nets, I guess you
Okay.
could say, moving around, and they had to move in around that and everything. Because to make it different, to make it unique to the setting. Because it sounds like all three of the stories that we've talked about so far is you take them and you don't just stick them in a hallway and have the people see them. There's, you drop from the ceiling, they're in the floor, they're whatever. So that's what's kind of fun about them, especially because they're so hard to see, is you can really put them in areas that would be enticing, or maybe wouldn't even necessarily be a place where your players would think to go. You can really play with expectations that way, especially if they've played for a while and they know what they are. So
all right, Chris, any thoughts on how you could use one in the future?
I mean, I like the idea of at lower levels, if I remember right, magic items don't get dissolved in it. So you could play up the whole, hey, the king has got some sort of contest. The first person to get that magic sword gets it. And if a player is smart, wait, it's just kind of suspended in the air. Yeah. How are you going to get it? The player is going to think about it like, wait a minute. I'm going to try to figure out what's really going on and just give him clues and try to lead him down that path of, yep, this is what's going on. Now, how are you going to get it? And then I would throw other things in there, like, a weighted hook and a rope. Maybe you can drop it down into it and pull the magic item out. Or, throw Kevin's character in there and say, grab it and I'll pull you out real quick.
That's right.
yeah,
Whatever plan they want. I like doing that because it's a puzzle and I want to see how are they going to solve that puzzle to get that item. And at lower levels, a gelatinous cube can be pretty rough.
for sure.
So I think it'd be kind of fun to run it that way.
Yeah, I think like I always like to try to find a way to make the monster more like a trap or a skill check than just like something you have to hit with a stick till it's dead. So maybe some sort of version where they have magical protection, like a limited acid resistant spell or item, and they have to ride in it, kind of like an elevator sort of things. Like they have to get in. That's the only way to get from point A to point B. And of course, maybe something happens where the spell wears off too early, or the gelatinous cube goes the wrong way, or maybe there's something else in the dungeon that then like attacks the gelatinous cube while they're sitting inside of it. So like you add these other elements, but I like the idea of it being something they have to navigate through, not defeat. And I feel like I mentioned this before, but there was a podcast I listened to like 10 years ago now where they had an encounter with like just a super gigantic gelatinous cube. It was like a Godzilla sized one sort of thing. And it was essentially they were in like a tavern, I think, and the whole tavern was engulfed. And it basically became like a skill challenge where they had to like navigate through the tavern as it was dissolving, almost like a platform game, like a 2D side scroller. Huh. And they just had to keep going up and up and up until the gelatinous cube had gone over. They had to get out. Basically, it became like a side scroller skill challenge. And I just remember that was like a very vivid description. Like, I mean, again, it's been like 10 years. I still remember, I don't remember the name of the podcast, but I remember that encounter was a really cool one. I've wanted to do something similar as well with that.
Wow, something to steal right there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Whatever podcast that was, that's an awesome idea. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Very cool. That. All right, so again, we'll throw it out to the audience. Anybody who's listening now, if you're in chat, if you want to suggest some ways that you could use a gelatinous cube, or if you have experienced them as Jack did and want to share some things you've done before, we'd love to hear it. If you're listening or watching this later, you can comment on the YouTube channel or email the show, therpgacademy@gmail.com. We'd appreciate that. But we're going to move now into our audience Q&A. So for those of you who are still hanging out with us, if you have any questions for us, makes sense if they're gaming related, but they don't have to be, but we do reserve the right to not answer any questions that we don't feel are appropriate or too personal. But I know there's a little bit of a delay, so while we're waiting for any questions that might pop in, we'll go around the horn. Everybody can give their socials and plugs, and we'll start with you, Kevin. Where can people find you? Where can they interact with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm Kevin, and I can be found on all the different socials at KevRan Games. I am the U.S. ambassador for La Nocturna, which is a new grimdark 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons setting that is coming over from Italy. I run a channel. We have games every Friday, although right now we've got multiple games going on set in this grimdark fantasy world. It's really cool. You can catch all of the old episodes that we've done so far on the YouTube channel, and that's La Nocturna. I'll put it in the chat here so people get the spelling right, but it's really, really cool. It's a really cool setting, and I really love it. But other than that, I'm also on Wanderer's Haven, which is a like a variety. We do a bunch of different games and stuff. I'll be actually playing some stuff this weekend. We got a holiday episode coming up, which is going to be Elves Die Hard, which will be really fun to play. And yeah, I'm just staying busy, all the different cool, fun stuff. So come hang out.
All right. Well, I appreciate you giving us some of your time tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us.
You.
Chris, where can people find you, and where would you want to send them?
Most of the time, just find me on the RPG Academy's Discord. Technically, I have Twitter and Blue Sky, but I just really don't use them much. I don't like getting sucked down the rabbit hole in arguments and stuff. So I check them about once every other day just to see if anybody sent me a message or if something happens to pop up on a few feeds that I do follow on a regular basis. But otherwise, the RPG Academy Discord is the best place. You can also find me every other Thursday doing Dragonlance, or you can also find me every other Monday doing the Smuggler's Blues, which is the continuation of the redemption story. This week got a little twist in the middle of it, and it was fun. It went to, I thought one thing was going to happen, then another happened, and then we ended up back to what I thought was going to happen, and then we ended up.
Nice.
It was kind of an emotional roller coaster, which, I mean, the three of us are kind of known for doing that. So,
and again, those do get basically archived on YouTube, so if people don't see them
Correct.
live, they can go back and watch them, right?
Yep. Just look for Smuggler's Blues. I think it's just a continuation of Redemption or Redemption story. I forget. It's not in front of me, so I'm not going to remember it.
Okay. Kev, if you put in a URL at the chat, block that. So if you want to put it back in, but don't actually put .com or .org, that way people can see it. I just have those settings set up and I don't even know how to fix it. So
that's cool. I just
on your screen,
I got the spelling on there. It's fine.
Okay.
I just,
because your screen will show it. My screen is just dot. So it didn't.
Dot.
Yeah, no one else would have seen that. All right.
Have you guys ever seen ... that YouTube video with the Axeman 13? Go check it out. It's hilarious. It's somebody wrote a really bad review, and they have like a really epic voice announcer guy reading the review with the misspelling, and it is hilarious. Anyway,
Nice.
sorry to interrupt.
No, absolutely. So again, as far as myself, you can find me at the RPG Academy, pretty much anywhere you search. If you find that, it's me. I am still active on Twitter, but not for much longer. I plan on moving to Blue Sky, but even there, I'm not going to be that active. I'm kind of stepping away. So Discord is the best way to find me. I'm very active there. Also Facebook. I kind of hate Facebook, but it works really well for what we're using it for. So if you want to join the Facebook or the Discord, that would be the best way to find me. You can email the show, of course, at the rpgacademy@gmail.com. And we do this show every other Wednesday. And then we also have a show called The Sample Adventures that we're going to get started back now that we're post AcadeCon. We are lining up a special guest GM for the Star Trek Adventures game. And we are going to try, the current plan is to do a original series, Spock, Kirk, Bones, Scotty, the whole nine, with some really deep characterizations, or as best we can do, because I can't do voices. That one is going to be a ton of fun, but we are always looking for new games for that show. The idea there is that we play a game we've never played before using the provided sample adventure, either in like a starter set, the core guide, or campaign setting. So if you have a game that has a sample adventure, or you just love a game that has a sample adventure, send it our way. We will put it on the list. We still have, I think we've done like 20 of these now. We have like 40, 50 more on a list that we're working through. They're a ton of fun. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. Again, they're streamed live, and then they are archived on YouTube as well as audio only. But that will do it for us tonight, folks. Thank you all for being here. Jack, Kevin, obviously, Scurvy Knave, and then Wanderer's Home checking in as well. And we will sign off as we always do by saying, if you're having fun,
you're doing it right.
That's it. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.